everybody, I'm Joey Paul and I'm an indie author and welcome back to my channel. I write young adult fiction across a variety of genres, and if you think that might interest you, then think about subscribing below. I also have a coffee shop with signed paperbacks and swag, which you can also find below. So I've done a few of these videos of either writing or editing with chronic conditions. I'll link the last one up in the cards. And today I thought I would focus on writing while having chronic fatigue. I know it's a symptom rather than necessarily a condition, but it covers a wide array and I didn't want to narrow down the condition. As usual, the same disclaimer, I will only talk about conditions or symptoms that I have personally experienced. Chronic illnesses are not a monolith and everyone experiences symptoms and the like differently. I can and will only talk about my experiences. I am far from the only chronic ill and or disabled Authortuber or YouTuber in general, and if these things don't work for you, that's fine, and if they do, even more fine. So let's talk about writing while having chronic fatigue. Number 1, sleep is not always helpful. I've always been lucky in that a lot of the time I have space and time to crash when needed. This isn't the same for everyone, and despite what people think, chronic fatigue is not solved with more sleep. Sometimes a nap can be a thing to help you, and sometimes it actually makes it worse. So it's about finding that balance between having enough to stay focused and also not having too much that you get overtired and then you can't focus then either. Brain fog, for me at least, gets worse the more fatigued I am, which I'll talk about more in a moment, and it's a struggle sometimes to find that balance and stay there. So while rest is important, and which I will talk about more in a moment too, it can also be important to pace yourself and work within your own limits. It can be hard to do, but it's worth it in the end. Number 2, fatigue can drag you down. Fatigue, especially chronic fatigue, is a beast not often talked about. It's not just being tired and needing sleep like I just talked about, it's also just not being able to think or being able to focus and all that goes with that. Brain fog, which I mentioned, for me at least, is also a big partner when it comes to chronic fatigue, and it can be hard to stay focused when everything in you is waving a little white tired flag. When it comes to setting yourself up for success, make sure you prepare and you know what kind of fatigue is going to hit and how it's going to be hard, and that's okay. It's okay to take breaks, which is something I will never tire of saying. Just remember that there is no time limit on publishing. You can take your time, and it's okay if it takes you longer than others. You've got this. Number 3, having a day off or breaks is not a bad thing. As you will all know by now, I'm a big advocate for not pushing yourself to breaking point or burnout. So it would make sense that when talking about writing while having a chronic fatigue condition, I would also highlight the valid need to have time off. Whether that's a whole day, which I do sometimes, or whether that's just a small chunk of the day dedicated to writing, which I also do sometimes. Whatever works for you and whether allows you to be able to function and manage and still medicate if you need to, or deal with the flares along the way. No one is made to be working all the time, and that's especially true when it comes to chronic illness. You need to take that time or your body will force you to, and no one wants that. And number 4, tracking and scheduling can help. I've always been an organised person, so if you're not and have no inclination to become one, feel free to ignore this one. That said, I found that tracking my fatigue levels and using them to try and schedule my working time has helped me a whole lot. Now, I know that with a chronic illness there is rarely a set timetable about when it's going to flare, but that doesn't mean that when you have the data, in other words, when you've tracked pain and fatigue and all the rest of it, and alongside your work for a time, you might get better at seeing the links that you couldn't before. Like, I find in the days when I do admin work, I have more triggers pain and fatigue wise, because they are usually more involved and take longer, so I separate them out over 3 or 4 days and make sure I have at least 2 days off after, because I need that time to rest. You might find a better way that works for you, but this is what works for me. I find that since I track my time, I know how long each admin task is going to take me, and that helps me schedule that time. At the end of the day, you know yourself best and you know what works for you. So take all of this with a grain of salt and bar the rest days and days off. None of it is for absolutely everybody. So there we go. Those are basically my tips when it comes to writing with chronic fatigue. Like I said, it's more a symptom than a condition, but so many chronic illnesses have it as a mainstay of their conditions, so it made sense to cover it in a broad strokes way. So if you do have any tips when it comes to writing with chronic fatigue, let me know in the comments down below. So that's all I've got time for today. If you want to support my channel, you can comment, like or subscribe. I post new videos on Thursdays. You can find me all over social media and my books are available everywhere. You can also support me at my Ko-fi shop, and you can also sign up for my newsletter. And don't forget to pre-order Cramming Chronicles The Fourth Torment, which is the fourth in a young adult urban fantasy series. And if you do pre-order, don't forget to grab the swag. And also don't forget to grab a ticket for Sugar Pages in Bristol in November, where I'll be signing books. All the links for which are listed below. Thanks for watching, and remember to keep writing. Bye.